Yo guys, what's up? Stop what you're doing. Stay right here. I promise you what you're going to learn in the next couple minutes is going to transform the rest of your month. I'm going to be sharing with you 8 reasons why people are not buying from you. Okay? I want you to sit tight, grab a pen, grab a pencil and a piece of paper, and I want you to take some notes because this is extremely important to the viability of your business, especially in this current climate. Okay. So again, we're going to be covering 8 reasons why people don't buy from you. And this is especially true in this current situation with COVID-19, et cetera. I'm going to give you 2 examples. So recently, one of our mastermind clients and one of our HBA clients asked me, like, should I be reducing my prices during this time? And I told them that's a philosophical decision that you have to make, assuming your numbers still make sense. But for us, we're changing our prices at all. And I want to share with you why that type of mentality is not going to serve you if that's what you're thinking of, okay? Because what it comes down to is, okay, well, let's just jump into this if that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you the 8 reasons why people don't buy from you, okay? So the first one, and this goes back to what I just mentioned, is that people believe that price is the issue. Okay? Price is never the issue. It's never the real issue. I just shot a little memo for my sales team and I said, listen, guys, like if you deal with price or even time objections, like I'll think about it, all that ever means is the prospective client of yours doesn't believe that your offer, your solution, your product can solve their problem. That's all it means. And actually, you know what, guys? Let's do this. Let's have some fun. If you're watching, just hit me up in the comments below. And I'm going to see if I can actually see this on my end. I want you to let me know in the comments there's only 4 objections. There's only 4 categories of objections that people have. What do you think they are? Or at least what do you think one of them is? Let me know in the comments below and I'll give you a virtual high five if you get that. Okay. So what do you think are the 4, or at least one of the 4 major categories of objections that people have? You, me, everyone else. Let me know in the comments below. I'll give you a virtual high five if you get them right. You guys are smart. I'm sure you can get at least one of them right. But here's the thing is that price is never the issue. Okay. So if you think that by reducing your price, it's going to solve the problems that you might be having right now with enrolling clients, that's not the issue. Okay. Because let me put it this way. If I said, let me just use an example here. Some random example. So what is this? This is an iPod charger, I guess, right? So if I put this into the wall, it's going to charge my iPod. Okay, so here's the thing. How much does this cost? With the USB cord, I don't even know. It might cost $20, right? Now, if this were $200, would I think that that's too expensive, or would you think that that's too expensive? Maybe, right? What if it was $2,000? $2,000 for this thing that you plug into the wall? There's no way I'm paying for that. That's crazy. But there's more to the story. Because what if I said that this doesn't just charge your iPod, but when you plug this into the wall with this special adapter, it charges your iPod instantaneously, and at the same time, it also puts money into your bank account. Now, obviously, that is a ridiculous extreme example, but what I'm trying to get at is that it's not the price, it's the value that is associated with this price, or more specifically, the problem that it solves. And if what you're offering doesn't solve a major pain or problem for people, it doesn't matter what you're charging. And this is the reason why the health and wellness industry is suffering so dramatically in terms of business owners, because what they think is that there's no way people would pay a lot of money to improve their health. And that's absolutely ridiculous. And the only reason they say that, and you might think this, is because you're comparing yourself to what everyone else is doing, right? We have conversations with a lot of people, right? Trainers, chiropractors, health coaches, naturopathic doctors, the whole bit. And usually practitioners are okay charging more. It's usually the health coaches and the trainers and so forth who charge less. And the reason for that is because they don't have confidence that they can solve a major pain or problem, right? If you've gone to school for 10 years and you are very good at what you do, you're going to be charging $300-$400 for a session, right? Just as a consult to come into a practice. But when we talk to a lot of health coaches who don't have that same type of experience because they spent a couple of weeks doing a health coaching certification, they don't have the same certainty, and therefore they're charging $50 a session. They don't have confidence in themselves. There's a lot of self-doubt. And they think that price is going to solve the problem, okay? So the first thing I want you to write down is that price is not the main issue, okay? So that's the first reason that people are not buying from you, is that you might not be fully sold on your own value, right? You think that price is the issue, but price is not the issue, okay? So that's the first thing. Just let me pull up my Facebook feed here, because I don't think I can see much on I'm using Ecamm Live here. I can't see much on my screen, so I'm just going to pull this up on the good old computer. All right, it's kind of trippy to actually see yourself recording yourself. It's like meta, like the Matrix, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. The second reason people aren't buying from you is that there's no commitment to greatness. There's a lot of mediocrity, and that's actually why it's very easy to stand out as being a really great business. You just have to be a little bit better. Most people, and again, I say most because if we just look statistically, what happens is most business owners treat their business like a hobby, especially online, okay? Because there's no overhead. There's no physical establishments that you are now accountable to paying every month. And so therefore you try to do everything for free. And, you start to contemplate, do I want to spend $97 a month on ClickFunnels? That's a lot of money, whatever. It's not a real business, okay? You have to treat your business like a real business. And because of that, and I'm not saying you, I'm just saying the general health and wellness entrepreneur population, we need to look at committing to building something great and not playing like this puppy dog side hustle type of nonsense. Because if you treat your business like a side hustle, you're only ever going to make side hustle income, which is nothing, right? And you're always going to be in a position where you can't afford what it is you want, and you won't be able to make the impact you want to make because it's a side hustle. Okay? So you have to be committed to being great. And what that means is you have to be great in what you do, right? You have to be amazing at what you do. You have to have confidence to get on the phone with someone or tell people like, yeah, I can change your life. If you show up and do the work, this is going to work. Okay. You have to have that. If you don't, that is going to be a reason. That's going to be one reason why people are not confident to do business with you. The second thing though, is you have to be committed to becoming great at sales and marketing. You have to. I was speaking with a naturopathic friend yesterday, and a lot of practitioners actually become successful in practice in spite of themselves, right? They don't put themselves out there. And he actually said, like I said, well, what's one piece of advice you would give other practitioners to grow their business? And he said, put yourself out there, like market yourself. And that's something he didn't do. And that's still something he's a bit hung up on. And I said, listen, like I agree with you. You shouldn't spend all your time marketing. Although what I'm doing right now is marketing, right? And if you are a practitioner, a health expert, and you love sharing your message, that's called marketing. But I told him, I'm like, even outside of that, in terms of like, he doesn't like, the setting up the funnels and the pixels. And I'm like, totally, like it's a waste of time, right? Someone else can do that for you. However, if you can put in a little bit of upfront time to build a system that can then work for you, now you have a business instead of trading time for money. And so this goes back to this idea of really committing to greatness, right? To being the best you can possibly be in serving your clients, in marketing, in sales, having conversations where you can step into a conversation and with confidence and certainty tell someone, yeah, this is how much it is. Give me your credit card and let's do this. Obviously not exactly in those words, but don't play small. Don't be mediocre. Be the best you can possibly be. And the reason I don't think, again, one reason that people are not doing business, when I say you, I'm not saying you necessarily, I'm just saying you as the general population of business owners in the health space, is that they're committed to playing small. They're not committed to being great. And that's not very reassuring for their clients, right? If again, I've mentioned this before. If you want Ferrari performance, you can't charge Honda Civic prices. And the other thing too is, I don't know about you, but let's say I'm looking for a physical therapist in Toronto. Am I going to type in mediocre physical therapist Toronto? No, right? I'm going to type in best physical therapist Toronto. Are you looking for a mediocre coach or the best coach? So no one wants mediocre, but then they have a tough time paying the best prices, right? Because if you want the best, you have to pay accordingly. But again, it's not about the price. It's about how you establish that value and show that you can solve a problem. So that's the second. So let's just recap. Number one, price is a myth. It's not the main issue. Number two is there's no commitment to greatness, okay? Number three is that you just don't have enough material on how to lead a conversation or close or enroll a client. And we spend a lot of time with our clients in our training on how to, we give them our teach to sell or coach to close sales script, right? So they know how to have a conversation when they're on the phone or in person with a client or a prospective client. They know how to lead the conversation to the point where they can get the person to say yes. And if the person has objections, how they can overcome them, how they can prevent them from coming up, etc. And if you don't, the thing here is, if we boil everything down, most challenges in life are results of the gap. Okay, so here's what you want, and I don't know if the direction here is right based on what you can see here, but here's what you want, and here's where you are. And that gap is a missing or a lack of information. That's all it is. So if I want something and I don't currently have it, it's because I don't currently know something. There is something I'm missing. And there's something that you're missing in your business. If you don't have the results that you want, there's something or many things you just don't know. And that's okay, right? You just have to you have to identify what those are, and then you have to fill the gap as quickly as possible. So if you don't have enough material to help you on, let's say, the sales side or the marketing side, then that's to your disadvantage, right? Because you're not going to be able to put yourself out there. You're not going to know how to message or position your offers properly. And if you get people on the phone or in person, you're not going to know how to lead a conversation for them to be more willing to do business with you, okay? So the third reason why people don't do business with, not you, but the bigger you, is that you just don't know how to lead you don't know what to do. There's just a lack of information there, okay? Number four, and this is a big one, is that a sale is always being made, okay? Either a prospect buys your story or you buy theirs. And think about it this way. If you have a 30% enrollment rate, so let's say you speak to 10 people and you close 3, guess what? You're the buyer 70% of the time. Think about that. You are buying the story and excuses of the people you speak with 70% of the time if you enroll 30% of people you speak with. So it's funny. And even in the circles I run with, we'll talk about, close percentage and stuff like that. Not that I'm a huge fan of that specific number, but, people talk about a 20% close rate, 40% close rate, and that's great. But it also means that you are the one being sold the bigger percentage of the time, which means you're buying into a story or excuse that your customer is telling, or the prospective client or customer is telling you that you simply bought into. And why does that happen? Why do we buy their story? The reason we buy their story is that we don't know how to handle the conversation. We don't know what to say. Person says it's too expensive. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, why don't you think about it, and then we'll reconvene. Never, right? You just don't know what to say, which goes back to the previous point about not having enough information or material to help you through the process. So a sale is always being made. Either you're selling or you're being sold to. And if someone is saying, I need time to think about it, I need to pray on it, meditate on it, these are all excuses and nice stories that you simply have bought, and the prospect has sold you on why they can't move forward. Okay? So that's the fourth thing. It's going to lead me into the next thing, which is number 5, which is you're not willing to be assertive and put the gas pedal down a little bit. This is something I really want you to wrap your head around, because nobody likes to be salesy or pushy, But let me just reframe this for you. You're a health expert. You can change someone's life. Let's just leave it there for a second, okay? Someone comes to you and they're in a really bad place. Because the reality is nobody just books a call to have a conversation. Hey, I just wanted to check up on you and hope everything is great. They don't even know who you are, right? They book a call with you or they book an appointment with you for a reason. They have a problem. They're suffering. They want it solved. Okay? Now, you have the solution to their problem. Person comes in. They talk about their problem. You're like, yep, totally, I can solve this. Cool, awesome. You reveal your offer. They're like, awesome, I'm going to think about it, whatever. It's a very superficial bullshit conversation, to be honest, okay? Because we have, my whole philosophy on this is we call this coach to close, right? Coaching to close means you have a coaching conversation, which means you ask questions and you have an honest, transparent conversation that just cuts the BS and gets to the truth. Because the worst objection is the unspoken one. So the person is saying, yeah, this sounds great, but whatever. The reason that's happening is for whatever. There's obviously reasons that can happen, but you, as the solution to their problem, have to be okay with putting your foot on the gas pedal and pushing down. Because if you don't help them, if you let them go, you let them down. And I want you to think about this from an ethical and moral standpoint. This is extremely important to understand. Is you have to be willing to push. You have to be willing to be assertive. And this comes from a place of love and service, not from I need your money. There's a very big energetic distinction here. Okay, I'm not saying push people into doing things they don't want to do. That's not good for them. I'm not saying, hey, here's some cocaine, have it's great for you, right? No. They have raised their hand. They have walked into your world, virtually or in person, and they've said, I have this problem and I believe you have a solution. So it is your duty, assuming you know you can help them, to then be assertive, to show them with certainty that you can help them. And if you don't, or you're not able to do that, which might go back to, again, not knowing what to do, how to say it, all the information side of things, then you're not going to know how to get that person to say yes. Because the reality is that if somebody comes in, and I think this is the ideal scenario, and I talk about this a lot, is the better you market, the less you have to sell, right? And that's why our perfect client pipeline is so effective, because most of the quote unquote selling is done in the marketing, your Facebook ad, your pre-indoctrination, right? The Facebook ad, the webinar, all that stuff, so that the person ends up on the phone with you and they're already bought into your philosophy. They've made a decision that they either want to work with you or not, and they just have to kind of figure out some of the details like price, etc. So the better you market, the less you have to sell. But that doesn't mean that you're just an order taker. Because the ability to sell somebody is the ability to take somebody who's not interested or doesn't need something, quote unquote, and turn them into a client. Now, I want to just kind of distinguish that a little bit. What I'm saying here is that if somebody comes in and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to do this, and you're like, great, I closed that person. No, you didn't. You simply took their order. You're an order taker, like somebody calling for pizza for takeout. To really be good at sales, and when I say selling, I mean serving, is being able to lead a conversation with someone where they might be skeptical or uncertain or whatever, and you, with your expertise and certainty, are able to lead them into a yes decision. And this takes practice, it takes training, and it takes a lot of repetitions. Okay, so don't expect yourself to be amazing at this up front, because listen, no one is. And it just takes time and practice. So unwilling to pressure is the fifth reason, or the unwillingness to be assertive is the fifth reason why most people drop the ball with their prospective clients. And that could mean in the conversation itself, it could mean the lack of follow-up. And all of this comes down to one major fear, the biggest fear that holds people back in life and in business. Want to know what it is? Well, I'll tell you. It's the fear of being disliked. The fear of being disliked is the single fear, the single thing that will hold you back from all of your dreams, because it is the fear that is going to get in your mind when you're about to send that follow-up email, when you're about to send that follow-up text. You're like, man, like, what if I piss them off? What if they don't like me? I've already sent one email. They didn't respond. What if I send another one? Are they going to unsubscribe or they're going to yell at me? This internal dialogue will hold you back from everything you want in life. And it's held me back. I'll be very honest, right? And it's something I continually am aware of and need to push through because we want to be liked, right? Most people would rather be liked than rich. It's very, like I'm telling you, anytime you find resistance, it's going to come down to that fear. Okay, number 6 is the reason that you're having a tough time getting people to say yes to you is that you lack financial goals. You lack financial goals. And this, I talk about this a lot, guys. Like, you got to set bigger goals. You got to set bigger, you got to raise the bar. You can't listen, I understand that not everyone needs, all the cool stuff in life, but the reality is it takes money to live. And people who say that money's not important, let's just be honest, it's important, okay? I'm not saying money buys happiness. I'm not saying any of that kind of stuff, but let's just be very honest right now. If you think that money isn't important, how is the current situation going to work out for you if money isn't important? If you can't physically work because the government has told you can't leave your house and you're not making money, you're very quickly going to realize that money is pretty darn important. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that money is the most important thing in life because I don't believe that's true. I think there's many other things that are more important. Love, health, friendships, fulfillment, all that kind of stuff. But to think that money isn't important is absolute ridiculous nonsense. And again, in the health and wellness space, because everyone wants to be this martyr and they don't feel good about charging, they have issues making money. And you should not feel bad about that because you're helping someone transform their life, right? You should be paid accordingly and not $100. You should be wealthy and set bigger expectations for yourself. We've had people on the phone with us who are like, yeah, I'd love to make $2,000 a month. I'm like, oh my, what? $2,000 a month? Are you for real? Where do you live? On Mars? Set bigger expectations for yourself, set bigger goals. And I think part of this is you got to change your environment. You have to hang around people that are playing at a higher level. Because if your expectations are here, right, that's what you're going to get, right? You get what you expect in life. So if you're expecting this, that's what you're going to get. If you're expecting this, you're going to get a little closer to it. If you have higher expectations and you set the bar higher, number one, you raise your level of activity. You raise your level of ambition. You raise your level of motivation. You get up earlier in the morning. You're more fired up every day. You're like, you know what? And it doesn't have to be about buying the house on the beach or the dream car. However, if those motivate you, then use those to fuel you, right? Because there will come a point where you satisfy your basic needs and then you kind of coast. And that complacency is a very dangerous place to live because complacency, I believe, is the biggest danger that we are dealing with in the Western world because life is okay. It's okay. And as a result of that, there's no real impetus or urge to do anything out of our comfort zone. And so we're okay if we don't, it's like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, that's fine. That's a terrible way to live. You need to set bigger goals and you need to put yourself in situations that force you to set those bigger goals. And that's why I'm a huge believer in putting yourself into situations where you have to pay to play. Listen, to work with us, it's going to cost you anywhere from about $1,400 to $2,500 a month, right? If you don't have that money, that's good. You shouldn't have that money. And if you do, that's awesome, right? But the reality is you'll never make that money if you don't put yourself in a position to even make the investment so that you now create a vacuum in your life that you have to fill it, right? Because nature abhors a vacuum. So if you create a deficit, you will find a way to fill the deficit. If you have $10,000 you have to pay off on your credit card, you'll find a way to pay it off. That's just the way we operate. But if you're like, you know what, I don't want any debt, I don't want anything, I'm good, then you coast. and you take minimum action. I'm not saying go into crazy debt and do stupid stuff, but I'm saying put yourself, and this is why I'm a huge believer in coaching. Every single time I've invested in a coach, whether they're, or, in a mastermind or an event, whether it was amazing or not, I make my money back and multiples of it. I'm not just looking to make my money back. I'm looking to make a 10x or more return, because part of the reason there is, listen, like if I've got 10,000 a month coming off my card for coaching, I'm going to make the most of that. I'm not going to just let that sit there and accumulate. I'm going to make the most of that experience and make sure I'm making multiples of my investment. But if I don't make that kind of investment, then there's less necessity for me to do that. So it's easier for me to sit on my heels and sit on the couch. Like the real battle all of us are fighting is the couch. You have to understand that, right? Like the real battle we are all fighting is the alternative, which is doing nothing. And that can be challenging sometimes, right? I mean, if you really did a time journal of your time, looking over the space of however many weeks, and you looked at how much time am I spending learning, let's say, marketing and sales, versus how much time am I watching Netflix? And wow, I'm watching 20 hours of Netflix a week, and I'm spending 1 hour training on sales and marketing. See the discrepancy there? Why do we spend so much time watching Netflix? Because it's an escape. It's easy. It removes us from our problems. And this is why most people live lives of mediocrity. I want you to think about, what are you willing to do today that most people are not willing to do, so that in a couple of years from now, you live the type of life that everyone only dreams of, that everyone plays the lottery to hopefully someday live that type of life. Okay? So the lack of financial goals is hurting your ambition, and it's hurting your ability to be assertive and lean in when you know you can help people, because if you don't, then you lose the sale, no big deal. But if you know you've got a payment that has to be made on a mortgage or a car or a coaching program or something else, you'll probably lean in a little bit more, especially when it's in the best interest of not just you, obviously, but the client you can help. Okay, 2 more. Number 7 is there's just a lack of training. Like you're not trained in order to be effective at what you do. And think of business as a sport. This is probably the easiest way to think of this. If you think of business as a sport, pro athletes train, let's just say every day. Okay. So let's just say it's not every day, but let's just say it's every day. They train every single day, and then they have a game. Then they have a recovery session. They train every single day. Then they have a game. They train every single day, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the analogies in business, a lot of them come from war and athletics, right? We talk about 10,000 hours putting in the reps, shooting free throws in basketball, right? We'll do that all day long. I remember when I was playing soccer, when I was in France, this is what I did for myself. So number 1, I did 1 extra training session every day beyond what my team was doing. So I would come in the morning, I would hit the gym, I'd be doing plyometrics, some type of weight training, something that was going to get me a little bit better than what everyone else was doing, even if they're on my team, because I knew that if I could outwork people, at least in terms of my dedication, and I'm not saying like working more, but just working intelligently, I'd be a little bit further ahead. So that was the first thing. Second thing is, after training, I was a goalkeeper. So we had this huge net, like this one of those, like almost like in baseball or football, behind the goalpost, they have these huge nets so the ball doesn't fly into the stands. So we had the same thing behind one of our training pitches. And I remember I would take a bag of balls, right? 10 balls. And I would set an objective. I'm going to say, okay, cool. I'm going to do a drop kick. So a little side swipe type of kick. And I'm going to hit that specific target on the net. And I would say, I'm not leaving this pitch until I get 10 of those in a row. And so some days I'd be out there for an hour. I'm like, shit, this is taking a bit longer than I wanted to. But it gave me something, and it gave me an objective to work on. And I trained every single training session. I did that. And guess what happens when you do that 1,000 times? You get pretty good at it. And so what happens is in the game, when I catch a ball off a cross and I see a striker up there, boom, no problem, right to his doorstep. But I can't do that if I'm not training. And the same thing happens in business. There are fundamental skills you have to be better at that don't come like this. And the most important thing you have to be training on is communication. Communication takes the form of this type of stuff: selling one-to-one, speaking from stage, copywriting, right? Because any kind of communication, either written is called copywriting and speaking is this. You have to be training on this stuff every single day. If you want to do more video and you suck at video, do more video, right? Do more video. Here's the cool thing. You could do a Facebook Live every single day and you never have to publish it to Facebook. Did you know that? So I'm on Ecamm Live right now and I can set this to go private to my profile. So only I would see this. So I could literally be talking this whole time to myself. And if I liked it, eventually I could just say, okay, publish it. Right now I'm live with you guys because I feel very confident on camera because I've done it so many times. It's not because I was born natural on camera. If you see my first YouTube videos way back in the day from 2006, they were okay, but they've become a lot better. And the only reason they've become better is not because I learned some formula. It's just that I practiced and trained and I just put in 1,000 hours. Well, way more than 1,000 hours. But I think between my two channels, more than 2,000 videos on YouTube. And that's just YouTube. That's not even including all of these types of videos and all the videos I've done for our content and everything else. So it's just training. You need to train. And if we're talking about a prospective customer giving you money, you need to train in that scenario so you are better when game day comes. Don't expect someone to book a call with you once a week and you're like, cool, I've got one call now, let's make it happen. That's a big burden. You need to be training every single day, role play every single day, record yourself in a camera, going through your script, overcoming objections. When someone says this, I'm going to say this. That's how you train. Does it sound like a lot of work? Yeah, but this is your life. This is your business. This is not some side hobby. And if it is for you, then none of this stuff matters, okay? And then the last thing, and this is the most important one, so I've saved the most important for last. The 8th reason why people don't do business with you is because you are not 1,000% sold on you and your solution. And that's where it all starts. The number one sale you have to make is you. If you don't believe in your product, in your service, in you, no one else is going to. And I don't know what kind of process you have to go through to make that happen, but it's the single most important thing. It's funny. So we have I'd say the biggest objection that you'll come across is, I want to see other people who've succeeded with your program. Everyone wants to see the social proof, right? Because even if price isn't the issue, the second biggest issue is they're going to say to themselves, will this work for me? And what people gravitate towards is, show me other people like me who've succeeded with this. And it's kind of funny if you think about this, because what that says, it's almost like going to school and asking the professor, hey, prof, can you tell me, out of all the 30 students in this class, tell me all of their grades? Because when I know their grades, I'm going to feel more comfortable in taking this class. It's ridiculous, right? Susie got an A, John got an F, Tony got a D. None of their marks do not matter at all. Same teacher, 30 different students, same material, completely different marks, different grades. So in your business, when somebody is asking you for social proof, I want to know that this works, right? Show me other people's successes. Well, number one, you should have that social proof because it is important, okay? You need to have proof of concept that you can actually help people. But at the end of the day, you have to be certain about your ability to help someone, because at some point there's going to be client number one. There's going to be that first client at some point, and then there'll be 2 and then 10 and then 100 and whatever. But there's always number one. And how do you sell number one if you've had no previous clients? It has to start with you. And certainty is the most important element of selling. So what I'm doing here is selling. I'm selling you on a belief system that you have to be very good at what you do. You have to be good at sales. You have to be good at marketing, etc. Everything we do is selling, okay? And you have to be sold on what it is you're selling. I was telling I had an office hours call with one of our clients yesterday, and she was, she was a little bit mixed up with her webinar. And I said, listen, like your webinar's goal is to sell people on your belief about a specific topic. That's it. The webinar's goal is not to be objective, empirical, because there is no objective empirical, right? If you have a particular belief about keto diet, let's say you have a webinar and you're teaching people that the keto diet is the best thing since sliced bread, that may or may not be true, but if you present that with enough conviction, people will buy that. On the flip side, you have other people that think keto is the devil. And if they present that with enough conviction, then certain people will buy into that. That's what marketing is. Marketing is sharing your beliefs and building relationships with people to the point where they know, like, and trust you so that selling almost becomes unnecessary. And in order to be better at enrolling people in your vision, you have to be completely sold on what it is you do. And I'm telling you, if you want a really good example of this is just study cult, right? Study cults and religions. They have probably been the best examples of selling ideology, an idea, something that's not even tangible, and getting people to believe in that. And why they're so effective at doing so is because the leader is almost, in some cases, delusionally sold on an idea, and he has sold it with so much conviction that his followers have bought into it. That is selling. That's selling. Okay? Nobody follows a leader that is kind of certain. Nobody follows, and this is important in this time, right? What we're going through right now with coronavirus. Nobody is going to do business with or follow anyone who is fearful and doubtful and uncertain. That doesn't strike any kind of confidence in people. You need to not just now, but in every single aspect of your life and in every day of your life, you need to be 100% certain in who you are, what you stand for, what you do. The world needs more leaders. And in order for that to happen, you need to clarify what it is you believe to be true. You need to clarify what you stand for. You need to clarify the value you bring to the world, because the reality is, like, the biggest reason that some of our clients don't win is because they're not sold on themselves. Right? We've got clients that are doing 10K a month, 80K a month, 358,000 a month, and everywhere in between. And then we have clients who've done nothing. And the reason many of those clients who've done nothing have done nothing is because this gets in the way. Either they're not coachable in the sense of really working their offer in such a way that people actually care about it, or they doubt themselves. I don't know if people will pay me. I don't know if I can do this. And listen, like, there's nothing we can do there. There's nothing we can do. We can give you all the training, all the encouragement, all the check-in calls, all the whatever. But if you don't have that belief in yourself, you will always mind frick yourself out of moving forward. And that doesn't help. So the most important thing, and this is like when I talk with people and when I talk with our team, the number one thing, the most important criteria that we look for, if you want to become a client of ours, the number one thing you have to have is expertise. Because with expertise comes confidence, and with confidence comes certainty. Everything else is figure outable. Everything else, as long as you're open-minded and coachable. So you can learn the marketing, you can learn the sales, you can learn the whatever, okay? But if you are not confident or capable in what you do, I can't help you there. I can't go back to school 8 years and train you up on how to help people with their health. You've done the hard work. You've gone to school 4, 6, 8, 10 years. You've done all of the heavy lifting. You have now earned your right to step out onto the field. But now the game begins. And just because you're on the field, it doesn't mean you're going to stay on the field. Because if you don't perform, you're going to be on the bench. And now it's your duty to step into your greatness. And remember that school is just the beginning. Like, you have letters beyond your name, like PhD, MBA, DC, ND, MD, BS, whatever. None of that entitles you to a successful business. None of it. All that does is it gives you the right to even play. It's like It's like inserting the quarter into the arcade to play the game. That's all it gives you the opportunity to do. And if you're smart about it, you'll lean into that experience and expertise to move into the market with confidence and certainty so that you can sell yourself with confidence. That's what your background is going to give you. The reason that when I started in end of 2005, 2006, my business online, the reason I think I had an unfair advantage is that I went to school in kinesiology and holistic nutrition. And a lot of people talk about how school was a waste of time for them. For me, it wasn't. Like, it was a weapon for me because I came online and I just shared everything I knew. And I think I did a good job at simplifying physiology and anatomy and biomechanics into things that people could actually digest and use. And that gave me a friggin' weapon to move forward to say, listen, if you come to me with this problem, I promise you, I will transform your life. I promise you. You know, when you help 500,000 people, you get pretty confident as well. But I had that confidence and certainty from day one because I knew there was a lot of people who didn't know what I knew. And I knew that if I hadn't known that stuff before, then I'm not competing against other doctors. I don't care. There's more than ample amounts for everyone, right? The pie is bigger than we can even comprehend. And I figured that if I could just do my part to help however many people I could, that'd be amazing. And the reality is that when you are in such a good position, when you think about it. If you're an expert, when I say an expert, I'm talking about someone who's gone through an extensive amount of schooling or experience working with people to help them improve their health because you've done all the hard work, right? The funny thing is that none of that guarantees success because we all know that at the end of the day, marketing will win. I know a lot of people more so in the fitness space who they're not the smartest guys, they're not the fittest guys, but they run very successful businesses because they said, I know enough to be dangerous, but the most important thing here is for me to understand how to market. And I think if you put on the hat of marketing and selling as a way of getting your message out to more people, it becomes a lot more exciting. Because if you don't know how to do that, then you become the smartest person who no one knows about. And that sucks because you deserve more than that, right? But again, no one deserves anything. You have to earn it. You have to put yourself out there and you have to be sold on your greatness and how amazing you are and what you can do for people. And understanding that if you tell someone that, you know what, we're going to start off by drinking 8 glasses of water a day for the first week, and that's part 1 of your program, that's maybe not too basic. That might be exactly what some of your people need to hear. And sometimes we take it for granted that what we know, everyone else knows. But believe me, everyone else doesn't know what you know. Like our first language is most people's 8th language, right? So you know what you know. And even the basics of let's walk for 30 minutes a day, let's drink a glass of water, that stuff, cool, awesome. That sounds great, doc. Let's do it, And sometimes they just need to hear from a different person, okay? So guys, I know this has been a lengthy ass episode, a lengthy ass training. Hopefully it's been valuable for you. So again, we've been talking about the 8 reasons people don't do business with you, and not just you, but maybe you, but everyone in general. And I hope they've been valuable for you. So I'm not going to recap everything because I kind of forgot what I was even talking about now, but just go back and listen to this. Again, if you've enjoyed this, drop me a comment below. Let me know what you've enjoyed most about this. Like what specifically really jumped. I know there's been a lot of nuggets I've been dropping. Let me know specifically in the comments what has really resonated most with you. I'd love to hear that, and just to make sure that we're on the same page and on the same wavelength. And as always, guys, if you want our help to help your business, if you want to get more clients, if you need help with your marketing, your messaging, how to package and position what you do in your offer in a way that people are like, oh my God, I need to have this, then we can certainly help with that. But we have to have a conversation to see if we can even help first. So if you go to workwithyuri.com, that's workwithyuri.com, book in a call, answer a few questions about your business so we understand what you're currently going through, and then we can have a chat to see if there might be a good fit. That is the deal. I hope you have an amazing rest of your Saturday morning or whenever you're watching this, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Stay strong, keep leading yourself, keep leading your team, keep leading your community. Right now, the opportunity is bigger than ever before to do so and serve people. And it's not the time to sit back on your heels waiting for others to take care of you. Okay, guys, have an awesome one.